It's 2005. I'm in my mid-20s, and I've kind of fallen out of love with platform gaming. I had my PlayStation 2. I'd been playing games like Madden and college football and boxing, but I didn't really feel like platformers were aging with me, because the last ones that I played, they started out like this.
It's me, Mario!
So imagine my absolute surprise when I fired up a game and it started out like this.
The gods of Olympus have abandoned me. Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness.
What the did I just watch? I'm going to start by saying that the technical limitations on a Nintendo 64 cartridge absolutely hindered that from delivering games like God of War. God of War on the PlayStation 2 took full advantage of the DVD storage capability by including full-length orchestral scores in the music, full-motion graphics, video, audio, narration. This wasn't a video game, this was legitimately playing a movie, and it was unlike anything I had ever experienced before in my life. Ah yes, 2005, the year that said, why not add a little chaos? The iPod was still king, Batman Begins was making us believe in superheroes again, and reality TV was at its absolute trashiest. Amid all this madness, God of War burst into our lives like a drunken frat bro crashing a toga party. Except his toga was covered in blood and he brought some swords on chains. Stay classy, Kratos. The story of Kratos starts with a question. What happens when you mix Greek mythology, gratuitous violence, and enough pent-up rage to fuel a small country? Well, you get God of War, a game born from the beautifully twisted mind of David Jaffe and a team of sleep-deprived developers who looked at ancient Greece and thought, yeah, but what if it was metal? Now, designing Kratos wasn't easy. At first, he was just another guy with a sword. He was pretty generic enough to blend in with any Renaissance fair, really. But then after several rejected designs, someone said, well, what if you were bald? Because, bald people are terrifying. Greek mythology had always been ripe for storytelling, but God of War didn't dip its toes in the mythological pool, it cannonballed into it. The gods weren't benevolent, they were egomaniacs. Monsters weren't nuisances, they were obstacles to be brutally murdered. And Kratos, he wasn't a hero. He was an ancient Greek version of a guy who leaves a 1-star Yelp review after screaming at the waiter. Think about it. Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, they weren't some omnipotent god in this game. They were targets. The kind of guys who'd steal your parking spot and make you really seriously consider vehicular manslaughter. By 2005, gaming wasn't just for kids anymore. The average gamer was in their mid-20s and almost 30 years old, which means they were old enough to appreciate complex stories, but still young enough to laugh at a good fart joke. Enter Kratos, a character designed for people who were tired of saving princesses and who wanted to start breaking stuff instead. Kratos didn't have morals, he didn't have patience, hell, the guy didn't even have a shirt. He was rage incarnate, basically every millennial who's trying to figure out how to be an adult at this time. Building God of War wasn't about making a game, it was about crafting an experience. The developers poured their souls into creating a world that felt alive, and then they promptly let you destroy it. Sony Santa Monica pushed the PlayStation 2 to its limits. They created sprawling environments, fluid animations, and combat mechanics that were smoother than Barney from How I Met Your Mother. But all that polish came at a cost. Sleepless nights, missed birthdays, and more coffee than any human should consume. They say the Blades of Chaos were forged in the fires of Hades, but honestly, they were probably forged by some Red Bull and nose candy. Let's not try to sugarcoat it. God of War was messy, brutal, and often ridiculous. But that's what made it beautiful. Every time Kratos ripped a Minotaur in half or punted a satyr off a cliff, it wasn't just violence for the sake of violence, it was catharsis. Bad day at work? Rip off a snake lady's head. You got dumped? Crush a god's skull. God of War understood that sometimes the best therapy involves some button smashing and a lot of screaming. Of course, it wouldn't be God of War without a healthy dose of what were they thinking. Remember the minigame? You know the one I'm talking about. The one where Kratos gets with a pair of topless NPCs while you hammer buttons like you're trying to win an arcade jackpot. It was crude, it was juvenile, and it was absolutely hilarious. Sony Santa Monica wasn't just pushing boundaries, they were pole vaulting over them with a bottle of tequila in hand. The music from God of War is just as iconic as its gameplay and storytelling. It provides an unforgettable auditory backdrop to Kratos' bloody journey. Composed primarily by Gerald K. Marino, with contributions from Mike Reagan, Chris Velasco, Ron Fish, and Winifred Phillips, the soundtrack embodies the game's mythological yet brutal atmosphere. The score blends orchestral grandeur with choral intensity, effectively channeling the ancient Greek setting while complementing the relentless ferocity of the game's protagonist. The God of War score is deeply rooted in mythological inspiration. The composers utilized traditional orchestration with strings, brass, and percussion taking center stage. These elements were augmented by chanting choirs and exotic instruments, echoing the epic scale of Greek tragedies from the past. Tracks like Kratos' theme and The Vengeful Spartan encapsulate the weight of Kratos' rage and sorrow, while pieces such as Minotaur Boss enhance the tension during climactic encounters. When I think back to God of War, I remember the bombastic combat and the huge swelling music moments, but the music doesn't shy away from quieter, more introspective moments either. The haunting choral motifs in Pandora's Box evoke mystery and a sense of foreboding, reflecting the darker layers of Kratos' journey. These contrasting tones demonstrate the score's versatility, seamlessly shifting between grandiosity and subtlety. The God of War soundtrack drew inspiration from Hollywood epics like Gladiator and Conan the Barbarian, incorporating their larger-than-life tones while carving its own identity. Its influence is evident in later entries of the franchise and even in the broader gaming industry as a whole, setting a new standard for storytelling through music in an action-adventure game. In 2005, the game's music received widespread critical acclaim, further bolstered by its inclusion in live orchestral performances such as the video game's live series. These accolades not only cemented its place in gaming history, but also underscored its timeless appeal. By embracing both the grandeur of mythology and the intimacy of Kratos' personal struggles, the music from God of War became an essential component of the experience, turning battles into operatic events and cementing the franchise's reputation for epic storytelling. God of War wasn't just a game, it was a product of its time. In 2005, we were all angry about something. Maybe it was traffic, or politics, or maybe it was that weird lingering resentment that we felt towards our high school bully. Kratos was our avatar for all of it. He was literally a walking middle finger to authority and things that kept us down. 2005 was also the height of edgy media. Movies like Sin City and V for Vendetta dominated the box office, while shows like 24 made us think that torture was a totally normal way to solve our problems. Thanks, Jack Bauer. Kratos, he fit right in. A guy who wasn't interested in diplomacy when violence was much faster. When God of War dropped, it didn't just sell millions of copies, it planted its flag in the gaming landscape and yelled out loud that this right here is how you make an action game. From its seamless cinematics to its raw, unfiltered rage, God of War redefined what gaming truly could be. And while Kratos has mellowed out over the years, trading some of his rage for more wisdom and fatherhood, his debut title remains an iconic snapshot of a time when gaming wasn't afraid to let us unleash our inner maniac. God of War wasn't perfect, it wasn't subtle, and it didn't need to be. It was raw, visceral, and exactly what we needed in 2005. And honestly, we're all still a little bit like Kratos, just trying to survive this absurd, chaotic world, one decapitation at a time.